Alright, so I am tying up a batch of these. At their core, they're just a CDC elk hair parachute caddis. But since people don't like words, it's referred to as a Tabanas. I really don't know how to pronounce it, and I feel like a fool every time I do. So I just, call it a tarantula or Tabitha or just really any word that starts with a T. I mean, you just pick your own name. As long as it starts with a T, you're right. Alright, so I'm going to start by dubbing the abdomen. And I keep wiping my hands on this rag that is usually wet. I've done it all night. It's been dry all day. I could get water and add to it, but instead I'm just going to keep wiping, trying to pull some moisture off of a dry rag that's been dry since I used it this morning. First used it. And pardon the marker fingers, I'm re-recording some videos that also included coloring feathers, and my fingers were also colored in the process, but I wasn't finger painting. I've never finger painted. Another fun fact. I come with the goods. I feel like y'all know me better than I know myself at this point. Alright, so I left the tag a thread and just ran up it with a quick rib. I don't stress a rib often on especially these bushier caddis, because even if I threw a extra small copper rib, the body's so bushy that after one fish, that hair is going to totally engulf the micro rib anyways. So I mean, I think the fishiness lies in so many other aspects of this fly that it's just, pardon me, I'm back. It just seems like such a trivial detail. It'd be different if we're talking about a super sparse mayfly that really depends on those like small micro details. But this big T-bone of a bug, you don't need those details. So I went ahead, I've got 3 strands of cider yarn, indicator yarn, whatever, and I'm not folding it over. I'm just gonna throw a wrap around, split it in half, throw a wrap around each side, and then throw a thread dam just to kind of lock it in place. Maybe one wrap around the base, and then grab my hackle, which unfortunately I burned through my Coachman Brown a while ago, and just like the dry rag that I keep thinking is gonna become wet, I don't know how many times I went to tie dry flies and just like comb through that thing for 15 minutes looking for 14s, somehow thinking this time's gonna be different. Like it's sprouted new feathers since I've used it last, but it never did. So I'm using Grizzly for the size 14. Grizzly works with everything though, so. So the main difference I'm doing on this compared to the times in the past that I've tied this fly, the traditional has a CDC underwing, so you would slap like 2, maybe 3 feathers and lash them down to ride below the deer hair. I don't know what prompted this, but I just came right out of the gate trying it, and I've enjoyed, like, I think it works really well. But I went and trimmed a bunch of CDC, the same CDC I was gonna use for the underwing, and bagged it up. And I don't just pull a random pinch, like I do stress keeping the fibers lined up as well as I can, but then I'll just lash it down in the middle and fold it over, and then pull out all that extra dubbing that didn't get tied in. But I just think this is it's definitely got some benefits, because you've got this big pocket of CDC right on top of the shank, so I could go in there, and I have, with a comb, and just like knock all the little loops out and where it's doubled over on itself, and that'll build more body of CDC. And this is all not hypothetical, this is all my assumption, but that wad of CDC is going to float better than the individual fibers splaying outward. I could be completely wrong, but this is my video, so I'm right. And, I mean, this is the internet. Everyone's right and everyone's wrong. It's the weirdest phenomena. Quit talking and pay attention. So I'm going to get the deer hair wing. I'm going to quit talking in a minute, maybe. So I hate handling deer hair, like the full patches. I've always, like, I don't know, I feel like I waste more than I actually pull from the hide, just from trying to get the perfect amount with my scissor tips. And then, like, I don't know, my hands just decide to quit working when I pick up a patch of deer hair. It's the strangest thing. But this batch, I went ahead and just, for lack of a better word, cut some zonker strips. So all I have to do is pull back a little piece. I don't have to fool with hair on the sides of it. Like, it's just so much more straightforward. And I do lose a little bit in the process of cutting it, but I don't feel it's anywhere as much as I would lose bumbling around with my meat hooks. So I'm gonna give her a stack. I'm gonna guess the length. One other thing I was thinking about, since I recorded this the last time, as far as this wing is concerned, anytime I have something that I have to measure every fly, it starts to just, I just begin challenging, like, myself, and remove the scale and just estimate it. And of course you're going to be off, but you know, after a good handful of flies, you start getting close enough. Like, this is it's a little long. I just had to say something. I could have just acted like I wanted it to be that long. Long is good though. Short, can't do much about short. So I'm just gonna pinch the living bejesus out of it to keep it up top. Then I'm gonna work my thread back a little bit, just building a band. But while I do that, I just grab the CDC and the deer hair and just pull it almost straight up, and that's just gonna keep everything riding on top of the shank. It was this batch that I realized that, because probably the first dozen or so of the size 12s, every fly I'd have to come underneath trimming stray hairs. And so lastly before lastly, that's almost lastly, I'm just going to finish dubbing the fly. I wonder if that rag's wet yet. It is pretty humid. Crazier things have happened. And so that front end is tighter, I'd say, by barely, but it is. And whenever I have a tighter end of the dubbing, that's the end that I want to dub the front with, just because I can control it and there's less room to just pile it on. And the last thing I want to do is take away that, is do what I'm doing. Take away any room for a clean thread to hook whip finish, not thread to mountain of dubbing. Perfect. And then I'm just going to chew the rest up back here, crossing it maybe once more. Oh man, if I only put one more out here, it'd be like a Madam X caddis. Like these little legs. Always got to look for a silver lining. That's not a stray hair, that's a leg. But the bad part is now you got to tie the rest of them like that. Been there. Alright, so now I am just going to act like I wasn't picking up my whip finisher to finish the fly and wrap the hackle. I go for just 3 to 4 depending on what I'm working with, or maybe 5, I don't know, I wasn't even counting this one. Heck, maybe even 6. Let's party. And I'm gonna take 2 wraps around the post above the tag end of the feather. It's not the butt end. And then on the last wrap, I'm gonna pick everything up while my thread is still on the hair wing, and that's just going to ensure that I've got as few trapped hackle as possible. And I'm gonna do the same as I work my way to the feather. Just give it some thread tension, and then finisher. Oh man, I got trapped hackle. Oh, just cut it. Throw a 3-turner. Not a half a turner, a 3-turner. Get these hackles before it's visible on the camera side. So before I brush everything back, there goes my light, UV light, like practically a baton. But 7 years later, and many of those drops, it's still kicking. So I'm going to, I mean, hopefully you can see it. I pick up the Hackle and run the super trimmed super glue brush right there where, not 90-degree angle, but where the thorax meets the post. Not thorax. You make up your own words for what I'm saying. You see what I'm doing. I don't need to give you words for it. This isn't a book on tape. Although it could be, if you play your cards right. And now that everything's sealed up, and I stress getting it up to the post just to give those wraps of Hackle a little bit of, just kind of cement them to the post, but also coat those thread wraps that locked in the Hackle, because you can have a perfectly sealed up wet finish, but if that thread gets broken, your Hackle's gone, is a goner, done for. And now I'm just going to over aggressively brush everything back into place. And by brush, I mean mash. I mean, truthfully, when I'm done with it, all you're missing is the nipped off clench knot on the eye, because it looks like she's been fished for a while, which is good. That's what you want in a fly. If I had more confidence, I could probably make you believe that. But I'm no salesman. And trim the post. Knock everything back down. And bask in the glory of just a great all-around caddis pattern. It's a killer indicator fly, but like it's so natural compared to a lot of the dry dropping indicators that it's still gonna pull a lot of eats. Just, well, I mean, obviously when caddis, or this could easily be as like a terrestrial, so I tied them. These are the 14s, but I previously tied the number 12s, and I mean, this thing's just so buggy. You can throw it in a caddis hatch, you can fish it on the bank for terrestrial, and it's just got that attractor quality. Like, it's not the flash or any of the hot tags or anything like that. It's just, it's got that silhouette that they're not gonna miss. So it's a good one. I've fished it in some variation for as long as I can remember, and it's stayed a go-to. I think if they weren't so time-consuming, I'd probably fish it equally with the F-fly. But since I can tie about 4 F-flies in the same time, they take the nod. But yeah, maybe I'll steal some of this batch. Maybe. Okay, feed me admiration and validation by viewing my Instagram and subjecting yourself to daily fly spam. Not only like me, but like this video and any post that comes from accounts I am associated with. I don't know, man. If you want to do more, you can like buy stuff, but I'm not gonna I'm not going to pander for money. I just want attention and validation. That's not too much to ask for. Alright, on to the next.